Hey there, guys, and welcome back to Dark Souls Remastered. My name is Rob. Today I'm going to wrap up the DLC by defeating the last boss of the DLC, which I will need Golf's help to slay.
Well, thou's come again. This is a surprise. I suspect thou hast taken a gander at it, but the dark of the abyss, which swallowed poor Artorias, threatens to devour our entire land of Ulasil. It seems that this dire fate is unavoidable, but seduced by a dark serpent or no, they awoke that thing themselves and drove it mad. One's demise is always one's own making.
It's deep, man. It's very deep.
Do not mistake my words. I cherish my work. Wood carving is a nuanced art. I would have much to talk about with that blacksmith. In truth, how is the old chap, I wonder? Still hammering away, I should hope.
I wonder what he would talk about with the giant blacksmith of Anor Londo, because he does not seem very talkative.
Do not. In truth, still.
Maybe Golf would do all the talking while the giant blacksmith would just be like, "Me happy."
Farewell. Lead thy life.
Anyway, let me see here. I'm about to go into an area with dogs, so I'm going to equip a fast weapon to deal with them. Golf will help us out big time here in a little bit. But before you can get him to help, you have to actually try and challenge Kalameet first. It's possible to kill Kalameet without Golf's help, but I've never attempted it, and apparently it's like really hard, time consuming. And I think it involves like you have to have enough strength to use Havel's shield and like other stuff. I don't know. But you go down this way into this little valley here. I'm gonna come back here. I think there might be a dog back here. Yeah. Oh, two of them. Okay. I have no poise. I forgot. Took off the wolf ring to equip Havel's ring so that I could use the Zweihander there for a little bit. Let me go ahead and put the wolf ring back on to deal with these dogs, just so they don't stun lock me or anything. Alright. Got a large soul of a brave warrior. That's all that's this way. You go this other way, you get to Kalameet's boss room. You see these light flowers from time to time. Where's my binoculars? I want to just take a closer look at them. Which is interesting, because Ulasil is known for using sorceries that manipulate light. And then they have these flowers that they're just kind of there. The game never says anything about them. But that's just kind of how Dark Souls, tells its story through the world a lot of times. And just little things like that. You kind of have to read between the lines to get story out of Dark Souls. So whether they draw magic from these flowers or whether the flowers are a product of the magic, who knows? That's the fun. There we go. Deal with these dogs. Now, I'll switch back to the Zweihander. Havel's ring. There we go. I'll go ahead and put on the Grass Crest shield with a little bit of extra stamina regeneration. Which actually Now that I think about it, I don't need it just yet. Whatever. You can take a ladder down. You can also drop down, there's a crystal lizard down here. Yeah. Oh, well. I ended up not getting the crystal lizard. There he is. Ah, still missed. Huh, somehow I got him. Alright, anyway, if you're quick enough to avoid dying, you can run over here towards this waterfall, and there's a chest back here that contains a titanite slab. But you have to be very quick. This Kalameet will breathe a bunch of his black flame, flood the whole map with it, and it'll kill you in one hit. Because there's so much of it. Titanite slab. Oh! Am I gonna die? No, I survived. Nice. Now I can just use this before he comes back. There we go. Alright, so once you do that, all you have to do is go into the arena. You do that, come back up here to golf. Which I'm not entirely sure how you're supposed to figure out that you're supposed to do this. I think I knew because before I'd ever finished Dark Souls, I'd watched a Let's Play of it. So I kind of, like, knew all this. But anyway, you talk to Golf.
Mara, is the black dragon posing the duress?
You want to tell him yes.
Yes, I thought as much. He's called Kalameet. Ferocious dragon indeed. Even mighty Anna Londa dared not provoke his ire. I see little good coming from this, but thy intent is to persevere to the bitter end.
Yes.
Good, good. What is bravery without a dash of recklessness? I've taken a liking to thee, and I owe thee much for thy service to Artorias. Now, watch, and see how Golf hunts dragons.
Keep in mind, Golf cannot see. Whether he's actually blind or whether he can't see through his helmet being packed with resin. You see him kind of reaching, feeling for his bow. He has no visual sense about him. But he has his hearing, which must be incredibly good.
Yes. A truer shot was never loosed. That bat will be grounded for a good spell. The rest is in thine hands. I await good tidings. Ah, dragon slaying. Knighthood's highest calling. Ah, hello there. What of Kalameet? He is an ancient dragon. Sky, but I know he will not be put down easily. Dragons shall never be forgotten. We knights fought valiantly, but for every one of them, we lost 70 of our own. Exhilaration, pride, hatred, rage. The dragons teased out our dearest emotions. Thou will understand one day. At our twilight, old thoughts return in great waves of nostalgia. Now, Still, farewell, human. I await good tidings.
Well, we can't let old Hawkeye Golf down, can we? So yeah, he mentions that Kalameet is an ancient dragon. Is he one of the ancient dragons, though, or is he just, like, ancient? I don't know. It doesn't really elaborate on that. But he's saying that, Kalameet is such a badass that even Anor Londo, with, like, all of its whole army and stuff, didn't want to fight. Or didn't want to piss off Kalameet. But just seeing Hawkeye Golf in a weakened state where he can't see, cripple Kalameet like that, to the point where we're able to kill him, I feel like Goff could have probably taken on Kalameet by himself and won. That's just my thinking, though. Now, just for these dogs. Freaking dogs. Make sure I've got some poise here. Poise won't really matter too terribly much with Kalameet, I don't think. I feel like even with 40 poise, he could probably still stagger me with any attack he does. Alright, and then when you come back to this doorway, there's a fog wall, or a white light, whatever you want to call it. Let's throw on Havel's Ring and the Zweihander. Why do I want to use the Zweihander against Kalameet? I don't know. I just do. I want to use it to cut his tail off. It seems like the right thing to do. Alright, and down this long, long ladder. And this is actually the basin, Darkroot Basin, where you fight the Hydra. Interesting, huh? Yeah! Now, Kalameet, I don't know if I would say he's the hardest boss of the DLC. He's definitely got some nasty attacks like that one. And he's definitely got probably the highest defense of all the bosses. But he's not quite as relentless as Manus is. His hitboxes are just janky and wonky. That's what makes him difficult. He has lingering hitboxes that seem like you should be able to roll through some of his attacks that, if you don't roll at just the right time, there's a second hitbox on a lot of his movements that will still catch you. And that's what can kind of make him difficult. Oop. And then he just stomped over there for no reason. Dodge to the left, dodge to the right. Oh, didn't quite do it. Yeah, I'm going to try to tease out a tail swipe from him where he slaps the ground with his tail so I can cut it off. So I've already almost damaged him like halfway. And his tail cut is probably... I don't know if it's the best dragon weapon overall, but it is, it's really good. It's a great sword type of weapon with a really good weapon art. Back before the special moves of weapons were called weapon arts in the Souls games. But that's essentially what it is. Yeah. Not nearly the hardest dragon boss in the Souls series. Once you fought Dark Eater Madir, this is absolutely nothing compared to that. Whew. Now that was a fight. Roll to the side, roll back under, roll out of the way. Ow. Nyeh! I missed. Oh! Well, making some clumsy mistakes here. Ow! Don't do that. Come on, swoop at me again. Hey, he did it. Yeah. Oh, wasn't enough. I don't know how much you actually have to damage his tail. Gonna roll out of the way, roll back under, and yeah, there we go. You get the Obsidian Greatsword. Now he has one less limb to flail at you. Alright, from here, you can pretty much just wail on him. I will say this much, for a Soul Level 1 run, Kalameet's one of the tougher bosses. Let me see, will he try to hit me with his nub now? Maybe not. It'd be funny if he did. Roll away. Yeah, the first time I fought Kalameet, I had a fairly difficult time, but he's actually not that bad once you get to learn his moves. Ow. Almost got him down. Yeah, whenever he does that, it's basically you can rush in and get free damage. There we go. Yay! You get the Calamity Ring. Let's read up on that. How many souls do you get for Kalameet? Haven't gotten them yet. 60,000? Yeah. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's see. The Calamity Ring is for if you hate yourself and you want to make the game harder. A ring enchanted by the Orange Eye of Kalameet, the bringer of calamity, doubles damage received by its wearer. A useless ring befitting of no finger, best left unknown or at least well hidden. Yeah, I mean, if you're a masochist and you're into that sort of thing, I guess. The Obsidian Greatsword, 20 strength, 16 dex requirement, only weighs 8 units. So it's very light for a dragon weapon, to be as strong as it is. Base physical damage is 320. It's base damage, and it only gets stronger as you reinforce it with dragon scales. That's the only downside of it, of any dragon weapon really, is just having to reinforce it with dragon scales. Unless you dupe them. Anyway, let's see. This great sword, one of the rare dragon weapons, is formed by the tail of the one-eyed black dragon Kalameet. Fun fact here. If you're able to zoom in on Kalameet's face, he actually doesn't have one eye. He has the one Calamity Eye in the center, but then on the sides of his head are 2 other eyes. Maybe he doesn't see out of them, I don't know, but he doesn't have just one eye. The last of the ancient dragons. So that kind of confirms that he is an actual ancient dragon that the opening cutscene talks about. The mystical power of its obsidian blade will be released when held with both hands. Yeah, this one is really cool. And a lot of min-maxers will just make builds with just enough strength and dex to use this weapon, since it doesn't scale with any stat. And then they just twink everything else or raise faith or magic or something and buff this. But yeah, it has a great sword moveset. Not as fast as the Claymore. I mean, if it were, it would just be unfair. And then the one-handed R2 does that, like the Bastard Sword. Two-handed R2, the weapon art. Now, is that not cool or what? I love it. So let's get these items that are sitting around the arena here. A dragon high above the sky, out of sight of the naked eye. But then he showed up and killed this brave warrior and the whoever else. Yeah. Yeah, this is totally the Darkroot Basin in the past. If only Hawkeye were here. Yeah, that's the game's way of telling you that you need to talk to Hawkeye Golf. Golf's great arrows. That's another hint. Yeah, because basically, I mean, nothing else in the game will hint that you have to get him to help you with this fight. And I guess the game assumed that if you keep coming down here, you'll eventually see those and read them and be like, oh, well, maybe he can help me somehow. Maybe I can summon Golf to help me with this fight. That would be really cool if you could do that. Ugh, I am not about to climb that ladder again. Let's use the homeward bone. Alrighty. Come back over here. A lot of back and forth. Unfortunately. But it's not too terrible of a distance. Whew. Getting sleepier. Alright. Let's bring our good tidings to old Hawkeye.
Thou hast defeated Kalameet. Wondrously played. Lord Gwyn's blessing upon me. That beast will never take to the skies again. Ah, this great bow, I shan't need it, with no dragons to hunt. I know not if a human could even operate it. But here, thy need outweighs mine.
And then it magically shrinks to where we can use it.
No, do not. I would, in truth, still. Farewell, proud human. May every honor be bestowed upon thee.
Yeah, we definitely got his respect now. Okay, Golf's a great bow. B and C scaling and strength and dex, respectively. 27 strength requirement, 20 dex requirement. Great bow used by Hawkeye Golf of Lord Gwyn's Four Knights for dragon slaying. This bow is larger than even those used by the famed dragon slayers. Only their leader, Golf, had the strength to handle it. Well, I have 28 strength, so I have one more strength necessary than, yeah. Don't have any great arrows, though. Yes, I do. Hang on. Yeah. It's really cool looking. I've never found a truly practical use for these great bows, but they are fun. Definitely. Let's see. Wolf ring. Let me put that back on. Yeah. Alright, let me think. That's it for the DLC. That's all the bosses. So what was I gonna do next? I had something in mind. Because it's not quite time to finish the game. It's close, but not quite. Let me think. I know there's plenty of NPCs I could interact with because I have a lot of embers to give away. What should I do next? Guess let me see about leveling up here. We'll do... Actually, I'm going to do 1 vitality and 1 endurance. We'll just keep leveling those up evenly until I get them up to whatever feels right, I guess. Let's see, I'm level 90? Wow, that's pretty cool. Repair my equipment. I could go fight Gwendolyn. think, think. Well, I tell you what I think seems appropriate. Let me go ahead and warp to unto Parish. Talk to Andre. And let's see about covenants. Do the Forest Hunter Covenant, just to make life a little easier. Yeah. So I'll probably go on into Darkroot Forest next.
Oh, my. What a brilliant ember you have there. I've only heard legends of such specimens. The embers used for the secret rites of divine blacksmiths. Perhaps you could lend it to me. I've long dreamed of forging divine weapons.
Yeah, sure. Take the large divine ember.
Splendid. Splendid. Thank you. Andre of Astora never disappoints. I assure you.
He's just so darn happy to get that. So now you can reinforce your +5 divine weapons into +10 divine weapons.
Oh, yes. And one other thing about the Darkroot Garden. It is said to house the grave of Sir Artorius, the Abyss Walker. Only, of those who ventured into the forest, none has returned. I'll be seeing you then. Be careful out there.
The grave of Sir Artorius, the Abyss Walker. So let's go on back through the Darkroot Garden. I'll try to point out some of the areas that are like mirrored in Ulasil. This little pathway here is not one of those areas. This is new to the Darkroot, whatchamacallit. Let me see here, get myself backwards. And I want to say there's a video somewhere on YouTube that kind of shows like a one-to-one comparison of the two, which is really interesting. But you get down into the basin. This is where, again, it's not exact one-to-one comparison, but this is basically like, this is where you fight Kalameet. This is where he is. Once I get there, I can kind of demonstrate that a little better. Yeah, so here's that same cliff that it overlooks, but then you go towards where the waterfall is. And yeah. I'm gonna ignore those blue boys. Sure enough, this is where you fight Kalameet. Just dodge, you fellas. So in a way, it kind of makes sense that there's a Hydra there, since that's a type of dragon. Maybe it's Kalameet's great-great-great-grandson or something. Or I should say sons. It's a shame I wasn't able to see Sif's summon sign. I guess you have to reload the game after saving him in order to get it to appear. Not that it really does anything. Sif himself really just kind of... He can tank a little bit here and there. He doesn't do a ton of damage to Manus. His AI is not super aggressive, doesn't attack very much. Has a ton of health though. Like it's really, it's difficult for Manus to actually kill Sif. Basically have to just run from Manus to where, you know, his attention is only on Sif for the whole time. You have to run away a lot. Get out of here. Okay, gonna rest at this bonfire. There we go. I wonder if Alvina says anything different if you do the DLC and then come back to this area. Let's see. Old Shiva of the East must still be but down in Blighttown.
Ah, thou dost cometh. How fares ye? My hopes for thee are of the highest. Do not such a hope shatter with foul disproportion. Ah, my hopes.
Yeah, there's no option to just have dialogue with her. Whatever. But yeah, you see how this little structure is very similar to the one in Ulasil. Let me walk back into this other one where Alvina is, and I think you can kind of see the elevator thing that's not fun. Well, no. It's filled in with dirt, so you can't really see the platform. I was misremembering that, I guess. I was thinking you could, but maybe not. So anyway, yeah, you come into this thick portion of the forest, and yeah, like I said, in this area you get the enchanted ember, and in the in Ulasil it's a blue titanite slab, both in a chest that's kind of underwater there. Come down here. This is kind of familiar when you're walking from the Ulasil Sanctuary, where you talk to Elizabeth and come up to the Ulasil Forest, and you know, when you first walk up here, you see the Scarecrow Men, and you go up on the right side. Yeah. So where the grave of Artorias is placed is not actually the exact place where you kill him. Because remember, his grave, to start off with, was very small, that Kieran just kind of threw together. So they must have kind of made this one to as a memorial to him or something, without it actually being his grave. And you see his sword there. I don't want to get too close because I don't want to start the boss fight just yet. Even though his sword appeared pretty damaged when he was using it, so I would imagine this one may be a replica. I don't know. Maybe it's a restored version of that sword. That's also a possibility. And then there's a corpse down here lying at the base of his grave. With the hornet ring. Now, I said I was going to point this out a couple of videos ago. But yeah, one of these special rings granted to the 4 Knights of Gwyn. The hornet ring belonged to the Lord's Blade Kieran. By boosting critical attacks, its wearer can annihilate foes, as Kieran's dagger laid waste to Lord Gwyn's enemies. So, bless her heart, you know, even if you you know, whether it's canon that the chosen undead kills Karen or not, she basically just stayed by Artorias' grave and just died there, you know, just out of sheer, I guess, depression. Like, she just gave up after Artorias died. She couldn't move on. It's sad, really, when you think about it. Man, look at that moon. I guess it's the moon. Kind of looks like a moon, or is it supposed to be the sun? I don't know. Time is convoluted. Let's start this boss fight. Of course, if you do the Ulasil of the Abyss, or whatever, the Artorias of the Abyss DLC, before challenging Sif, you get an alternate cutscene. Of course, you have to save Sif. Instead of just straight attacking you. Sif remembers. Poor Sif. Doesn't want to fight, but knows that it is necessary. For one reason or another. This is such a good boss fight, too. I really love the way that Sif fights. And one of the things that made me want to play Dark Souls back before I had ever played it, and I was just seeing gameplay footage of it, was seeing this boss fight and thinking just how damn cool it looks. Yeah, I'll never forget it. Before I'd ever tried out Dark Souls, I was watching, back when Mike Matei was part of the Cinemassacre channel, the AVGN, he was doing a video on Dark Souls talking about it. And about how new players shouldn't be afraid to try it out just because it has a reputation for being like ultra hard or whatever. And I remember seeing him fight Sif and seeing all this greenery and how the graphics looked just so much more colorful than what I had seen in Demon Souls. And how this boss fight with this wolf that had a sword in its mouth just, I don't know, it just made me want to give the Soul series another chance. That was back in like 2016 or so. As of recording, it's 6 years later, nearly 7. Man, it's just been, I've been in love with Dark Souls ever since. Played this game for countless hours, and it's definitely one of my top 5 video games of all time. To think it all started there, seeing footage of this boss fight. I do kind of get sad killing Sif, knowing that Sif is not evil. But I don't feel sorry for Sif as far as like just, you know, like Sif is a warrior. Sif is a giant ass wolf with a sword. Like, it's not like you're picking on some weak, you know, whatever, like kicking a puppy. Nah. This is the only way Sif could possibly go. Dying as a warrior. It's fitting, and it's the death that Sif deserves. That's just my take on it. Let's have a look here at the Soul of Sif, for one thing. Soul of Sif, the Great Grey Wolf, who guards the grave of Artorias the Abyss Walker. Use the Soul of Sif, who inherited the Divine Night Sword, to acquire a huge amount of souls or to create a unique weapon. You can actually make 3 unique weapons with Sif's soul. There are 2 different swords you can make. One by reinforcing a regular, really any type of sword to a +10, and another by reinforcing either a broken straight sword or the straight sword hilt to a +10. which is an alternate form of the Artorias Greatsword. And you can also make a shield, like the actual, you know how you get the Cleansing Great Shield, which is a damaged version of Artorias' shield. You get the restored version by using Sif's soul to make it. And then you get the Covenant of Artorias. Where are you at? There we go. This ring symbolizes Knight Artorias' covenant with the beasts of the abyss. Its wearer, like Artorias himself, can traverse the abyss. So I'm thinking that Artorias must have formed this covenant with the abyss, but in doing so, no, that doesn't. I'm trying to think through this here, the sequence of events that must have taken place. Like, he must have made the covenant with the beasts of the abyss, but then the abyss just kind of overtook him anyway, and then he's fighting it, and then gets his arm broken, uses his shield to protect Sif, who is basically a pup at the time. Which makes Sif like hundreds and hundreds of years old. And obviously he never stopped growing. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting lore stuff to think about how all that went down and how it happened. And I like that the game kind of just allows you to use your imagination for all that. Fill in the blanks there. Alrighty, and with the Covenant of Artorias, we'll be able to traverse the Abyss now, which, oddly, we could traverse the Abyss in Ulasil, I guess because it wasn't as, hadn't completely taken over yet. But we need this Covenant in order to traverse the Abyss of New Londo, which is just nothing but utter blackness. So maybe that blackness requires the Covenant. I don't know how all that works. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time where we'll take on the 4 kings of New Londo. Until then, y'all take care.